right. We are recording. Okay.
What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to PAX, first panel. How everybody doing? Good. Awesome. Thank you all so much for being here. My name is Andrew. I'm one of the founders of GameWisp. For about 8 months now, 8 or 9 months now, we've had the privilege of working with several of the streamer meetups all over the country, and it's been an incredible experience. We love these guys. We love what they do. I think that the way that that you guys are coming together, that you guys are helping each other get better and forming these local groups is just fantastic, and we're so happy to be a part of it. So we're excited to be able to put on this panel. We're excited about these people. We're going to share some thoughts on what a meetup is like, what it means to be part of a meetup. If you don't have one in your area, we're going to talk a little bit about how you might go about starting one. And if you do have one in your area, how you go about finding it. And then after that, we're going to take some questions. So, it should be a good time. We're excited about it. So right now, I'm going to step back and let these guys introduce themselves. Yeah, you guys, you want to start?
Sure. You guys hear me? Oh, that's being really in my face. Okay, I am Metamancer, and I am the founder of Stream Texas, formerly known as Twitch Texas, in case you guys didn't know about the name change. We've been running for a little over a year, and I'm also a streamer.
I am Wait, is this working?
Hello? Oh,
There it is. Hi, my name is Jessica. I'm known as Kiraeyl on Twitch, and I am the organizer of Twitch Nashville, that's community meetup powered by community meetup Nashville, and we've been doing meetups since October, so about 5-6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Okay.
Yep, it's all you, man.
This month I founded Barrier Live, formerly Twitch San Francisco. In San Francisco, we've been running, our 1 year is coming up actually the end of February.
Is it my turn? Okay.
Yeah.
I'm Kristi Foxx. I'm one of actually 4 admins that run Twitch Arizona, which covers Twitch Phoenix, Twitch Tucson, and Twitch Flagstaff, so most of the state, the rest of the desert. I've only lived there for a year. We've actually been running for 2 years, and we were actually started by Tartu, who is one of the, I don't know if you guys watched Tartu on Twitch, so 2 years.
I'm Reagan Simmons, UGR Gaming. I run Chicago Community Meetup powered by Twitch. I've been doing meetups for the last 2 years, so yeah.
Awesome. Well, as you can hear, there's a lot of experience here, so we're really excited about it. So we're gonna dive right in, if that's cool with everybody. And so, kind of the first question, I think for me, right? For me, when I came to start talking to meetups, I think I had an idea of what a meetup is. It's a group of people get together, talk a little bit, and go home. But I think that what these guys do is so much more than that. As I've gotten to know these organizations and gotten to be a part of what's going on, so I'm going to let them kind of dig into when they talk about a meetup for streamers. What do they mean? And what are kind of the essential elements that come into these organizations? Who wants to start? Anyone?
I mean,
Oh, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
We're trying to give everybody an opportunity to talk. So we're like, do you?
Well, for me, a meetup is a community that comes together. We have all common interests. Mostly right now it's Twitch and live streaming, but live streaming in general. And we might not know a lot of people in the area. I mean, we want to meet people that do the same things that we do. And we just go around the city and we have fun, hanging out together.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh.
You want that? Someone was telling me meetups are powerful. When you think about it, I just said that we're used to being behind screens. A lot of us are streamers, and we're sitting in our room, usually alone, with 3 or 4 screens in front of us, doing our thing and talking to our communities. But meetups get us together, get us out of our house, get us together and talk about what makes our streams great, how we're doing it, sharing tips and little tricks that we learn from each other. I think that is really, really powerful to get people who are used to being alone together.
I agree with that. I think that powerful is a great word for that because meetup seems like, hey, I'm going to this bar, let's go over here. But it's way beyond that. I mean, being a part of the Stream Texas bit for over a year and having started that, seeing it from where it was to where it is now, it's very obvious that this isn't just, hey, let's meet and drink. It's, hey, I've created this amazing lasting friendship with this group of streamers, and now we're collaborating and we're cross promoting and we're building each other up. And getting that feedback from the community members has been mind blowing because that wasn't originally the thought. And then as it evolves, you realize just how much more it has become.
I was gonna quickly say that, like, I know for, I guess all of us, we could say that it's a great opportunity for people to network, especially with developers as well. Like, I know for my meetups, I try to make it a networking event for developers as well to come in, to meet streamers who are not, usually used to like having to meet them in person. So it's a great opportunity for people to, meet other streamers and of course, like trying to get like the developers of game products to come out to learn that Twitch is a great platform and a great marketing tool to market products. So yeah.
Yeah, and it's a great extension of already, I think, what a lot of people find in live streaming and in Twitch is a lot of people who stream really aren't the most like socially active people. They might have, anxiety and things like that. And live streaming really helps in that area. But I think the communities is a great extension of that. That it takes that, take the first steps in streaming, and then you actually come out and you meet people who do the same thing you do, and you realize that it's a safe environment for you to be a little awkward and to be kind of apprehensive about that interaction because they're all there doing the same thing. So I think finding a meetup and participating locally is really good for your mental health as a content creator and as a gamer in general because it's a very solitude activity, like solitary activity. Even though like you might be talking to people online, like it's still you're by yourself in your room. So it's kind of doing the meetup and stuff is a lot about it's community. It's coming together and meeting people who are into the same things you are and yeah, having a time.
Traditionally, we're doing things that nerds only did. Like, who plays video games? Those nerds. Who's making cosplay? Nerds.
Yeah.
So we're getting a bunch of nerds together, and it's becoming really awesome.
So I mean, I think I heard two things, right? I think there's the element of it that is networking, getting together with fellow streamers, getting together with developers and brands, and the other part of it, I think too, and this is something that I've seen watching you guys, is the professional development aspect of this. Kind of talk about for you guys, since a lot of you guys are seasoned streamers, you've been around, talk about the importance of professional development, and then what does being a part of a meetup, going consistently to a meetup, mean to your professional development as a streamer, as a content creator, as an entertainer?
It's a lot of questions, Andrew.
I know, I'm sorry. I just wanted to fully express the question.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm going to tackle the professional growth part because that's something that Stream Texas is very focused on this year. After building up the social portion, we have our group and we're expanding, but our big focus now is to actually provide more resources that help a streamer grow, but as well as mods and developers that we have in the group. And there's of course viewers, but a lot of viewers kind of transcend a lot of those different roles as well. And so we have viewers who are mods and also streamers and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of diversity across that. From an attendance of a meetup, at least for mine, and I know a lot of you guys, you provide opportunities to meet people that you normally wouldn't have access to. And also, as organizers, we're responsible to provide those resources to our members because that's the reason that we're part of this process. So, having contacts either in the game industry or at Twitch or at another platform like YouTube or Google or wherever, I mean, any of those things can be a direct link to your members. And so, growing professionally, when you attend a meetup, you get more face time with those people. And it's interesting to see over time seeing people start at one meetup and then end up at the sixth one, and then all of a sudden everybody's at the same convention and they're like, oh, you're here, and it's like this big family reunion, and then there's the devs that they talked to several months ago and they're excited and everybody has this personal connection. So professional and personal growth is really a part of the same thing, I think, on that front.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for sure. And also on the professional side, I mean, I think that, GGR and myself are great examples of, I think a lot of people get into live streaming because they have a passion for games, but like possibly want to get to the other side and move into the game industry in some capacity. And I mean, for me, the job I have right now, I'm very got to meet people that made the right connections. Which was great for me because I went from doing QA to now I'm doing, kind of like content creator management for video games. And same thing, for UGI, you guys are doing the player.me community manager now.
Yeah.
So that's
Definitely the meetups were a big push to why I have my job now. I also work for Exploit as a community manager. So I have, which is pretty cool because now I work with all these guys as well. So we all work together. But definitely the meetups were a reason why, well, one of the reasons why I have the job I have now. Because I was able to create events and reach out to people, network with people. So it's been definitely a great thing for sure. Yeah.
I was going to say that for me personally, I like going to the meetups because you get a smaller environment than a convention. And plus, a lot of the devs or like a lot of the people in the industry, when they go to conventions, they're so overwhelmed by all of the people that go that it gives a more intimate environment for you to get to know these contacts that you're going to meet. So I think that you can probably, I would say, grow more professionally going to the smaller meetups than going to a convention. I mean, I know, like, how many of you are first-time goers at a PAX right here?
Oh.
Okay.
Wow. Welcome.
That's really great. That's awesome. So it can be overwhelming to go to a PAX. It's a lot of information being thrown at you. So I think that by going to a meetup, you will grow a lot more than coming here. And I also...
No offense, Max.
What?
No offense, Max.
We love you guys.
Yeah, yes. I also think that it'll also give you an opportunity to really look at yourselves as a professional in the live streaming business, because a lot of people think that it's all fun and games, but it's a lot of work. And I think that by going to these meetups, just like what everybody has already been saying, it's a lot of collaboration. And then, I could see that Metamancer may have brought her business cards. And, a lot of people say they stress the importance of bringing business cards or bringing flyers or something to separate yourself from everybody else. But, maybe I went to a meetup and I met her and she had a business card and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's such a good idea. I really need to start doing this myself. It's a great way to actually warm you up to go to another convention or to go to another meetup, or to actually sit down with somebody from a business like GameWisp and say, my name's Kiraeyl, here's my business card, and you look really professional doing it.
Absolutely. And I think, just to jump in on that point, I think networking in general is the most important thing, and for a lot of us, the hardest thing that we do. I am terrible at networking. And it's a skill that you have to acquire over time. And so if you're one of those people that can't just walk into a group of people and start talking, which I am not, then these are opportunities to not only meet people and make friendships, but it's opportunities to exercise that particular skill, which is so important when you come to events like this, because you are going to have to walk into conversations and start talking. That's how networking works for some reason. And so yeah, I think that part of professional development is just so important, and that's such a great venue to really kind of work on that skill.
That's actually a really fantastic point. I recently in our Discord, somebody had suggested, hey, why don't we do evaluations of each other? And I thought, that's a really freaking good idea. Because now people are self-organizing, and they're talking to each other about, hey, the quality of your stream, and I see some of you guys in there, hello. And so they're giving each other constructive feedback, but it's in a safe environment because they know those people. And I think from a professional growth perspective, you guys could even go as far as saying, hey, let's do some mock interviews. Let's figure it out. And it sounds really silly because you're like, oh, I'm not going to a job interview. What's going on? No. Because you can take these skills regardless if you're streaming or going to a job or you're finding a new job. You can take the skills across. It's not just for streaming, and it helps you be a better individual overall. You're more rounded out and more experienced. So I think it's a really interesting cross development opportunity between something that you're really passionate about and then also the responsibilities of being an adult who has to pay bills. So
yeah. Okay.
Well, we didn't touch any of the...
Well, we can go to the socially.
What about the manners part?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess we should be nice.
That was my next question was going to be, how many of you have attended a streamer meetup, whether a Twitch meetup or another one? Okay, so we have some, and then we have a lot of people who've never been before. So I think one of the things, we've talked about the importance. I think one of the things that would be interesting to talk about is kind of how to approach a meetup, and how, if I'm going for the first time, how do I get the most out of those experiences?
I would say, like, if you're going to the meetup for the first time, I know a lot of people are nervous to go because, like, you may not know people. That's why I try to put, like, usually my meetups are in an environment where it's, like, where you can drink, but, like, also there's games involved, too, so it's not just, like, we're, like, in a room where it's, like, nothing there, and we're like, let's sit around and let's talk. But usually when people have a few drinks or whatever, like, or if there's like arcade games around, people feel more comfortable because like we're Twitch streamers or streaming, and we go into an environment where there's games, and I like this game, let me play this game with this person, and that's usually how it goes. And go in with the open heart. I usually say that because, and not with too close-minded. But just be prepared to make some friends because, like, usually, like, a lot of people who've been to my meetups, they come all the time and they help out those who are new and don't know too much about it and just try to be open and friendly. But if you're going for the first time, definitely just go in there with an open heart, just so you can meet people and be okay with it.
Yeah, if you're uncomfortable, so Twitch Arizona has a very, very active Facebook page, and we encourage people when we post the events, talk to each other, carpool with each other, talk to each other before the event, get comfortable, make one buddy. If you make one buddy, that's amazing. Get to know each other beforehand. We have on occasion pushed together the shy people.
Nice. That's a good idea.
You're both shy. You have something in common. But just talk. I mean, one of the things is you already have something in common. You either are a stream watcher or you're a streamer yourself. So you can always open up the conversation with, so what do you play? What's your stream name? It's very easy to start a conversation. If nothing else, you can stand there awkwardly together and be friends.
And that's totally okay. Standing there awkwardly is fine.
As long as you do it together.
Yeah, definitely. I think the key is to start, like, if you think you might go to a stream meetup, start engaging before you go. And that's true even like after you've attended. Like, one of the best things you can do, not only for your participation and getting stuff something out of the meetup, but also to help the meetup grow itself, because eventually, like, ultimately we're just as dependent on the people who attend as they are on us setting up the events. And that's, as it says on here, engaging us like with the social media and participating in Reddit and Discord and all these things, because as long as the conversations remain active and you guys talk to each other and help each other out and network and you're hosting each other, rating each other, and that kind of community is things that we can point out when we're like going to sponsors and going to people to try and make bigger and better events. And it's really helpful to continuously be engaging, not just at the events, especially if you're, like, some of the meetups do like once a quarter, some of the meetups do like every month. So it varies based on where you are. And if you're going to be starting one, that's a decision you have to make for yourself, like what you're going to do. And it doesn't matter the tempo, like in social media, social media, social media, social media.
I was gonna say real quick, like, social media is definitely like a big, big thing for meetups in general. My last one that I did, I just like posted that we're gonna do the event, and strictly, like, I didn't like the first one I like sent out, like, physically, like, hey, can you come to meetings, this and that. I just put out the date and the website, and word of mouth, that's how people found out about it, strictly through social media. So it's really important for all of us, like, if people retweet it, talk about it, just to help out, meetups grow, and more people learn about it that way too. Even if you don't live in the city, there might be someone who follows you who might live in the city to see it that way too. So yeah.
Being aware of the other meetups, all of them really, is fantastic. Something that I've found that happens very often now is we'll get a new member, and at the bottom of like the join thing, it says, how did you hear about us? Because I'm always curious, like, how did they find the group? And somebody said multiple times now, somebody in a stream said that this broadcaster was in Texas, and I'm also in Texas, so I joined. I'm like, that's crazy. Because there's so many people on Twitch and they're all over the place, and people don't even realize that we're all co-located in some way. So we've had a lot of members just join from like hearing about it on somebody's stream. which
Yeah.
is really cool. And then on Twitter, multiple times, I tag you guys all the time, like, hey, this person's looking for a meetup in your area,
Yeah.
and I direct them to you, and vice versa. So it's really good to collaborate across everybody, but we're not the only ones who can do that. Everybody can do that. If you're aware of meetups, you can be like, hey, I actually know about that, and you tag UGR and be like, hey, somebody's looking for a meetup in Chicago. You know, I mean, everybody can engage on social media. You don't even have to really talk to anybody. You can just see a tweet and be like, oh, here you go. So I think that's the easiest option, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just a button. So
On that note, please, on your Twitter, tag your city and state.
no,
Super
just
helpful. Because we stalk you and try to bring you in.
that's true. That's true.
Are there any things, are there any things that as a member of a meetup you should be avoid, any behaviors you should avoid, any no-nos? We had some conversations before this, so I think I know where this is going to go, but I'm throwing out the question.
Who wants to start on this one?
Wow.
Too drunk at the meetup.
Yeah, please don't.
Yeah, have a couple drinks so you're talkative, but don't.
Social lubrication, not.
Yeah.
I think one of the things that you need to be aware of, you don't want to step on anybody's toes when you're doing these meetup events, and like say, oh, I would love to do a meetup in Texas, but I don't really want to talk to Metamancer because she scares me. So maybe I'll just like do my own thing, but I'll advertise it in the Twitch Texas Discord. That's totally stepping on her toes. She might want to get involved and help out, because like we have contacts. We can make this a fun thing, make it a collaborative event. Like, oh man, Metamancer, I saw this new, like bowling alley somewhere. Like, it would be really cool to do this. Like, make sure that you're talking to everybody. You got to put some things aside in order to, make the group better. So,
Sometimes it's not even fear of an organizer though. Some of the members just get real excited. They're like, I love my new friends. We're gonna meet. We're gonna call it a meetup, and we're gonna put Twitch Arizona over. And I'm like, no, don't do that, man, please. Invite us. We can give you swag.
Yeah.
If you have ideas, we're like as organizers, we're always open to ideas because we're constantly talking between ourselves, and so having members offer up ideas and especially offering to help is phenomenal. But just doing something on your own and using the branding is super no-no. Because like just like with your own streams, for the meetups, the brand is super important. It's what we use to pitch to sponsors and to get really cool events put together. And so we have to kind of protect that like companies do, or like you guys hopefully protect your live streaming brands or your creator brands. And so it's just be willing to help and have great ideas, but go to the organizer. Like we want help. We want to like
We definitely want help.
yeah, we want
Most of us are running our stuff alone.
yeah.
I'm very lucky that I have a team. That's because we're all adults and we have busy jobs. But I think there's 12 of us total, and we're probably one of the biggest teams. I can't imagine running an event alone. Cannot.
It's pretty crazy. I'd say it's pretty crazy. But I feel like myself, it's easier for me because I have like a crazy mind when it comes to events. Like usually when I come up with it, I wake up and I'm like, all right, we're gonna do this event this time. This is gonna happen and all this. And the people are like, are you okay, sir? It's not okay. But like literally our current meetup, I woke up one day and I was like, we're gonna do it in March. And I was like, all right, boom. And I like started calling everybody up but it's just easier for me because then I know like what's happening in that. Like, yeah, yeah, I know what's happening in that. Like other stuff is happening around me that's not working. And I make sure that like if a sponsor has a question, like I'm the one who's answering because I have all the data and all the stuff that's happening with it. So it's really important, like especially if you're by yourself and if you're like attending meetups to talk to the organizer of like the meetup and make sure they're okay with it. Because there's been situations where there've been things that have gone without my permission and like my logo being used without my permission, and which that's not okay. So yeah.
So, that being said, the first step in deciding whether you want to create a meetup in your area is to look at and see if there's one already there and get involved with that one. But what else, right? If let's say they look around, let's say they don't find a meetup in their area, kind of talk through the great things, the fun things, and the struggles of starting your own meetup, your own professional organization.
Well, I guess finding a community, because I know when I first started, I didn't know anybody in Chicago, and I literally stalked people on Twitter. But I literally I typed in Twitch, and I located it to like just like Chicago, and like reached out to her like, hey, I'm starting a Twitch meetup. You want to come hang out with me? And I felt so weird for her, like, what is it? And yeah, like Twitch meetups weren't very big back then. So it was like people were kind of confused and didn't know if it was like Twitch related because like some random kid on Twitter was like, hey, you want to hang out with me at a bar? That was always but you know, making sure that you reach out to people and just finding community is hard in the beginning, but if you can have some like backend, because like when I had my meetup, I had the website ready, I had the location ready, so I had everything. Like if you don't believe me, just go to this website, it's legit. Which and then people saw the location was there, so I wouldn't go into it like how I did and just like reach out to people without anything, but definitely have location, event stuff, like dates ready to go, and then like reach out to people if this is your first time doing it. For sure.
I wouldn't even go that far yet. Sorry, Eugene.
Mhm.
I would say if you're like literally just starting out, do not plan your first event by yourself.
Oh.
Yeah.
Like, don't. Just please don't. You'll save yourself a lot of sanity. The reason why I say that is because when we started, there weren't a lot of meetups. There was no resources for us. Now that there's so many resources, I mean, sure, you can go alone, that's fine, but you have access to more people and resources now. So I think the simplest way, if you really want to start a meetup in your area, tweet at one of the member groups, right, like Extreme Texas or Arizona, wherever, and be like, hey, could somebody reach out to me? I'm interested in starting a meetup group. Just leave it at that. Don't say anything else publicly. It's okay. And then you go to the next step. And the reason why I say that is because there might already be a group that's contacted us who's trying to do the same thing. That's happened a couple times. And we also have our own organizers Discord. So guess what? Instead of it being over a public Twitter where there's lost messaging and not a lot of collaboration, we can invite you into the Discord and be like, okay, you want to start up for Boston? Great, let's talk. And now you have access to all the other organizers who've already done it at least once, who can help you, and you can ask questions. And if we don't know the answer, then we can all figure out what the answer is, and everybody grows together rather than this like siloed effort. And honestly, that makes everybody better. It's not a selfish endeavor at that point. It's because we love Twitch, because we love live streaming and content creation, we're creating these groups and we're seeing everybody be successful, and that's the point. It's not a matter of our group is better than that group. It's we as a community at large are fantastic and wonderful and support each other. And it's not really about the individual groups at that point. It's just about the community.
Mm-hmm. And it's one of the things, to kind of step in from my perspective, it's one of the things that's really exciting to me as a sponsor and as a partner, is that the community is so strong and so supportive of one another. It's really easy for me to look at the ecosystem and say, okay, these groups are networked, I know what they're doing, I know they know what each other's doing, so I know that I'm not going to get caught with 3 or 4 different events on the same day. And I feel like I'm interacting with a group of people as opposed to interacting with individual organizers all the time, which is just super helpful from a sponsor's perspective, in my opinion. I don't know, I can't speak for other sponsors, but for us, in the way that we work, it's really, really helpful. But talk about that a little bit, right? So you want to start, you get in touch with you guys. How do you guys find the resources? How do you find the resources to get this stuff done? I mean, it's not cheap planning these events.
I look for a rainbow and follow it to the puddle.
I mean, I can talk from my perspective, since we're relatively new down in Nashville, is that, I mean, I just simply tweeted out, hey, what's around? And of course, GameWisp is in Nashville. So Andrew has been really awesome in helping me do our events. But a lot of it, I'm just gonna put this out there, a lot of it will be self-funded. If you're looking to invest in a meetup, you have to invest yourself and your funds into it first, because I would say that there's very few sponsors who will right off the bat say, here's a couple $100, and we would like to sponsor your meetup. It doesn't quite work that way. You have to build yourself up first before asking for financial help. But I was very fortunate that you guys were in Nashville, because there's not a lot of game companies in Tennessee or in that area.
Yeah,
but
that's a great point. Is So probably you don't want to spend your own money, and that's fine. So look for other alternative options. There's more challenge in that, and what everybody here will agree, finding a venue is one of the most difficult things in setting up a meetup. I mean, people are upset sometimes when they're like, oh, it's for age restriction, or it's not close enough to this, or it's not that, or whatever, or it's not enough space. And it's like, well, with limited options and limited funding, or none at all, and also limited time with people who are volunteering their own time to do something, let's have a little bit more of a realistic expectation, right? Because not everything is, we're not a business. We try to treat everything like a business, and we're professional when we approach our members and our business partners and everything else. But at the same time, everybody's there because they're passionate about what they're doing, not because they're getting paid to be there. So finding a venue, number one. So if you're gonna go off and make your first meetup and you go through the process and you're like, okay, we have a community, we got like 20 people, we're ready to go, just meet somewhere for one time. See how the turnout is. Tweet it out on social media, get some engagement with other organizations, take up down the numbers and get the data. That's what you use to get sponsors. There's maybe one or two people on this planet that can talk their way into thousands of dollars in sponsorship out of nothing. That's not me. I wish, but it's not. And so data and metrics are your best friend when it comes to getting sponsorships. And pictures is fantastic. When you have a Twitter, set it up as a business Twitter, then you get impressions and a little bit more analytics on the back end. It's free. It doesn't cost anything. Same thing with Instagram, and I think there's Facebook also gives you more insights.
Yeah.
Anyway, all the social media platforms give you options to get a little bit more in depth. And then if you decide, you know what, I really value these metrics, I'm going to go spend a little bit of my own cash to get some more, fine, go for it. Other than that, though, I mean, data is your best friend. It really is. And that's the proof right there is you can go to a sponsor and say, hey, we're doing this event. The last event had this many people. Based on the growth since X date, we anticipate this many more attendees.
And when you've got your data, right, and even before you've done your event, right, you have 150 people have signed up for your meetup group. The best thing you can do at that point is reach out to one of these people and say, what does that mean to me? I've got 150 people on this meetup page, but how many of them are actually going to show up at an event? How should I sell that to a sponsor? That sort of thing. I think another so you're going to have a couple of different types of sponsors from what I've seen. You're going to have those who are willing to put in monetary resources. You're going to have those who are willing to give you stuff, so stuff for giveaways, swag, that sort of thing. And you're going to have sponsors who just kind of want to show up and hang out with people. But I think that looking at your local community, are there local devs, are there local companies? That can be helpful. I know for us with Nashville, it was easy for us to say, oh, we'll totally get involved because, even though they were very early on, because we live in the same town, so it makes sense for us to be a part of that. Where it's a little tougher with people who are distributed across the country when we're thinking about resources. So looking in your local community from a sponsor perspective is really helpful because it's easy for me to say I'm going to help out somebody in my backyard.
Yeah.
It's a little harder for me to say, let me throw money at these other different locations.
Supporting local businesses has always been a big thing for a lot of people, right? And they're more easily accessible. You're talking about there's no need to pay for shipping, which is actually very expensive, by the way, especially when you're shipping ridiculously heavy swag. And then there's a matter of, hey, maybe they have access to a venue that you couldn't get to because it costs too much money, but because they know the owner, they can get you. I mean, there's so many options there. Just hit up your local businesses. I mean, even consider places that you work or your friends work or anything like that. You can kind of start extrapolating different points of contacts and kind of make a net of networks.
Yeah.
We even did that with some of the local venues. We started making deals with them on, okay, we can bring 150 people in. We had done that previously. Can you give us, money off on the venue because we'll make sure that they buy drinks. So really, really, really network locally.
Yeah, and your game dev map will be your best friend because if you can bring in devs, that's going to incentivize other streamers to come in. Because streamers want to meet each other, but they also want games. They want to meet the game developers, and game developers want to meet streamers. So Game Dev Map is a website, if you guys don't know about it, where literally you pick a city and it just lists out every game development company in that area. And it's great send an email like, hey, we got this, community meetup starting up. We're gonna have some people come out. If you want us to come out and like talk to people and talk about your game, that's why the game developers come here, is to meet new guys and talk to gamers and streamers and stuff. And so if you provide that platform, that'll really help get your like initial numbers up, and then with the venue, once you have people, the venue kind of starts working itself out. Plus, some of the game developers will offer to host.
So we've been here a little while. Does anybody have any last thoughts? We talked about that a little bit. Any last things? All right. Great. Okay. So what questions do you guys have?
Yeah,
There's a mic in the middle of the room. Feel free to come up. We are an open book when it comes to meetups.
Yeah.
Q line. Yeah.
All right.
I live in the middle of nowhere, Nebraska. Is it frowned upon to go to a meetup in, say, Colorado? And I don't live in Colorado.
Absolutely not.
Come.
Yeah.
No borders.
If you're even visiting, go to find a local. If you happen to be visiting during a meetup event, go.
Yeah.
I don't.
I know for my meetups, we've had a lot of people from like different states. Like we had somebody from Florida come all the way out. We always have a lot of people from like different states come out. So definitely, if you could do it, definitely go. It's not fun.
That's a good point. I didn't realize we didn't ever say that. These meetups aren't just for local people. I just want to we don't run others.
I don't know of any in Colorado yet. The closest one I know of is probably St. Louis.
There's one in Denver starting up.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Well, that's when I gotta meet.
Yeah, there's one starting up all the time, guys.
Yeah.
First off, I just want to thank you guys for running this panel. It's been really informative. I wanted to ask you about scheduling. You touched on monthlies and quarterlies. I just wanted to know if you felt if you have like consistency in your scheduling for your meetup, if it has any increased value, or if you can just randomize and still build your community as such.
Schedule.
Yeah, schedule. I tried both. Schedule for sure works better.
You tire out your community if you suddenly go, oh nuts, we need to sell t-shirts, and we need perhaps do a meetup, and also we want to go do this other thing. Like we schedule out our stuff, and we have pinpoints on when we need to advertise it, because I'm really weird like that. But it really does help, because you don't want to exhaust, because the communities aren't huge. If you had 10,000 people, awesome. You wouldn't exhaust them if you threw a bunch of stuff at them all at once. But scheduling it out so that people aren't saying, oh good, they're posting another thing. Like, you want people to be engaged. Too much is bad.
And remember, your sponsors have budgets, which means the more consistent you can be, the easier it is for your sponsors to be able to say, okay, I'm going to allocate a monthly budget to this meetup, or I'm going to allocate a quarterly budget to this meetup. Because if you're doing things randomly, that means that like I've got to go back to my budget and say, is there room? Can I take $1,000 or $500 or whatever it is this particular month? And I may not be able to if I'm running a booth at a PAX, or if I'm going to a TwitchCon. I may not have the resources there for you.
Yeah. Plus, the whole thing with streamers is having consistent schedule usually increases your viewership, right? And consistency of regulars. It's the same exact thing. When somebody knows when to expect something, they know to come back.
Thank you.
Hey guys, my question is on communication Metamancer. You talked a little bit about growing professionally, and Andrew, this might apply to you as well, meeting up with different organizations. My question is, for those of you who work in teams, how is your communication involved internally to meet streamers and organizers that are all at different places in their careers?
That's a big one. So for a year I ran Stream Texas by myself, and only recently did I finally decide that it was time to kind of branch out and pick leaders among the community. And I was lucky because my community has grown so fast, and we have over 300 members, which is fantastic. And so we have an opportunity to utilize the different talents that we have. So for us, communication is 100% the most important thing beyond anything else, because we can make things happen. So in our Discord, we have a leads channel. All of my chapter leads for San Antonio, Dallas, Houston, and Austin are in there. And we collaborate usually on a daily basis. We're talking multiple times. Sometimes it's just venting. Sometimes it's, hey, I had this idea for a marketing thing. Let's go talk to our marketing committee. Yeah, we have one of those now. So I think creating opportunities for your members to volunteer and lend their talents, because we have people who are in like a marketing position in a big company And I'm like, well, why aren't we utilizing you as a resource, you know? So communication in Discord has been really fantastic, but whatever platform you use, it has to be consistent. So they know this is the one place we go to have a conversation. And then we have meetings over voice to discuss things that just, it takes too long to type it out.
Mm-hmm. And thinking about your sponsors as another person that you're communicating with when you guys have meetings, when you guys decide on things, right? Making us aware, even if you're not asking us for anything, just making us aware that things are going on is it's super helpful for us. Because like I said, we have budgets, we're planning, we're doing all sorts of things. Especially since you're talking typically to somebody in the marketing department, so they're thinking about all sorts of stuff. And so the more transparent and the more communicative you can be, the easier it's going to be for me to go back to my teams and to my leadership and say, hey, we need to do this, or hey, we need to be ready for what's coming for this particular group.
Twitch Arizona, we're a large admin team. We've done simple things like, okay, if we want someone to communicate with all of us, we have twitcharizona@gmail.com. And that's something that we all have on our phones you can check. But as long as like we have a Discord, just like Texas, where we are going in and like, what does that mean? What's called the lawyer? Let's look at the paperwork, but really communication between the team members and making sure everything is above board is really, really important.
That's best.
Well, and also real quick, you can sit down if you want. I just want to say, like, these are all great questions, but keep in mind the most important thing, like starting out, is just start. Like, get started and then worry about the grind things.
Do with what works, and we've made huge mistakes before. We're like, oh no, we did things we weren't supposed to, but you're gonna learn. It comes small.
Yeah, you'll know when it's time. Like you'll realize it's like this is the moment. Okay, let's do this.
And I will say in communication, and I don't have a big team, but I have a couple in my community that volunteer for specific like positions, you might say. But I think the really important thing to consider, like as you're if you get a meetup and you start getting larger, is, and it's kind of a weird thing, but like maintain like hierarchy and maintain like have a very clear message of like who is the one reaching out to sponsors, who is the one doing this, because especially in communication with companies, if that gets muddled, if you have like 3 or 4 people pitching the same company, they're gonna be like, well, who's in charge? Like, why am I doing this?
Absolutely.
So that, I think that like anything else, you make sure like as you bring people into your team that you make it very clear that like these are the things you do. Like be open to help, but like
it doesn't have to be official, but like you're the social media dude. You're the outside you're the pretty one. You're on camera.
Yeah.
You gotta do it. We have that guy.
Wanted to ask, like, what is an ideal frequency for these meetups? If you want them like every month, every couple weeks, just quarterly, depending on what the size is that you have for people that you think will come in, how wide of an area, and how long that you promote until then. Do you wait a week before? Do you wait a month before, telling folks, hey, we're having a meetup and it's here?
How big is the community? I mean, that's a big part of it. Our community likes to have them every few months, but we're contractually obligated to do 2 in every city that we host. So we have to space them out every 2 to 3 months just because it would be tiring. But we have people doing their own, like, okay, you guys are gonna go to their place and band 64 together and stream it. Like, it really, really, really depends on what the community is asking for.
Yeah, it's 100% community dependent. Like Stream Texas, we have the 4 chapters, and we're rotating one city per month. But all of the members, because they're so self-organized, they're like, hey, we're gonna go out on Friday, let's do it. And they all go out on Friday in Austin, and they're like, let's get some barbecue, let's go get some drinks. And so that's the beauty of the communities, though, is that if you empower them, they'll basically run it themselves between all the big events, which is great.
yeah. I think I would say just figure out what works for you best as you start it. You know, you have to make sure you have the room to run it. So just do one, feel it out, and if you're like, I don't have time for another 2 months, that's fine. Just do that. If people volunteer to help, that's great. But I mean, we all do a wildly different. Like Mike, we meet every month, like every single month.
We meet every 2 months, and then we'll have small meetups, and we call them big and small meetups. We're also really, really spread out because we're a full state, so we start advertising 2 to 3 weeks ahead of time. For small events, we only do a week ahead of time because we know there's only going to be 20 people there. So, community dependent.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Right, so my question is that when it comes to sponsorship, what do you usually offer to sponsors, and what are some things that you try to get out of it, or more like, how do you compensate if they ask for more than you can offer? Does that make sense?
We have a contract, but that's because I'm an attorney. It's my real job too. But it depends on the sponsor, because some sponsors are big for Twitch. If you're sponsored by Twitch, you have a lot of hoops to jump through and other things. If you are sponsored by a local dev, you know, just handshake and hey, we'll share each other's media and you'll come to our event and show your game and maybe we'll get a free game out of it. It really, really is sponsor dependent.
It is. It's a lot more of I call it in kind, where there's a mutual benefit for either side that is usually not financial. So from the example of developers or products and services, you want to promote their product or game because you believe in it, and that's how I establish mine. I never just go to a sponsor and be like, they have a lot of money, let's go with this. It's always a business relationship. I don't like a one-sided deal. That's not my thing. So with like GameWisp, they were the first people that I approached, and I was like, I really like what you guys are doing. I think it's a fantastic area for Twitch growth as far as viewers and streamers go, and it's a completely new concept that hasn't really been done yet, and I'm interested in that because I like to support newer ideas and innovations so that we can both grow together, because I was still starting out too. And so we grew together over time to evolve to the fact that we have this panel is a great testament to that. So I would say it's very sponsorship dependent, and you should do what doesn't go against your ethics and also doesn't put your members at risk. That's what I would say.
And don't be afraid to ask them what they're looking for.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
So I've received everything from, I've gotten sponsorship decks from a couple of meetups. I've gotten just inquiries of, can you help? I've gotten inquiries of, can you send swag? And I've gotten inquiries. Truthfully, for me, the best ones are, hey, let's sit down and talk about this, because that's better for me, because I can understand the meetup's goals, and then I can share my goals, which are almost always, we're looking to engage with more streamers, we're looking to create more users, and by and large, for us, when we think about meetups, we think about the brand value, and the value of having the GameWisp brand and the GameWisp name, the GameWisp company partner with these guys. And so those are my goals, and so I'm willing, I'm willing to expend resources, and that doesn't always look like money. We do things like we let meetups use the GameWisp booth at conferences to stream. We do things like let the meetups use the products for free. We send swag. We do all sorts of different things. The best thing you can do is come to me and say, let's have a conversation, and then say, this is what I need. And whether that looks like a sponsorship deck or it looks just like, hey, I need a photo booth at my event this month. Here's the cost. Can you guys cover that? And the worst thing I can say is, no, we can't do that this month, or we can do half of it, or we can do all of it. But yeah, it's about having good communication, and then however you want to go about communicating what you need, be upfront, right? Be upfront with what you need, and I'm going to be upfront with what I'm trying to get. Because it's a business relationship, and I want to be your friend, but ultimately, we're trying to get things done.
And start local.
Yes.
There could be really interesting opportunities local. I mean, as you saw, like they hosted their meetup at GameWisp headquarters, and for a number of months last year and continuing into this year, we actually have a Razor store in San Francisco, and so we've been hosting events at the Razor store, which is really cool because for them, like there's no cost venue wise. Like they pay their employees a couple extra hours and they provide a couple keyboards, and so for them it's like a really cheap sponsorship, but for everyone involved it's a phenomenal opportunity. And so look local. I mean, like the arcade bars and things like that are getting really popular. Board game stores and things like that. There's lots of great local opportunities to kind of start those connections, and then once you can build those connections, that'll help when you're talking to like companies that aren't in your local area.
Absolutely.
Thank you. All right, real quick. Oh, she just left. I was gonna say, to answer Nebraska's question, I drove 9 hours twice to go to Twitch Chicago meetups, and I have lifelong friends because of it. So
That's
it's
awesome.
totally worth it if it's in your means. I recently moved to North Carolina, and I don't know, has anybody reached out about North Carolina meetups?
I haven't heard from.
I think I heard about it
You have, okay.
I think somebody said it to me yesterday, but I'm
Okay.
Was there a Raleigh?
Okay.
maybe.
Might have been somebody in Raleigh. I haven't heard yet.
Okay. Yeah, I was just interested in starting one, and I didn't want to, again, step on
Yeah.
anybody's toes. But my original thought was to kind of call it or brand it Twitch North Carolina or Twitch Carolinas and then rotate the cities. I didn't know if that was a decent format or if you guys suggested concentrate on the major
It's one
stuff.
of those, don't use the word Twitch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because
Twitch.
Twitch. Let's
Okay,
leave it at
so here.
The word Twitch comes with responsibility.
It's someone else's brand.
So the answer to that question is come talk to these people afterward and get a sense of what that is.
Answer questions. More questions I end up having.
Yeah.
you can talk to us after.
The other thing is, if you want to go check out some of them that are reasonably nearby, there is a meetup in Atlanta, and then there's our meetup in Nashville. So
Right. And then Orlando as well.
And then Orlando.
And then also, I don't know. I forgot my last question, but I'll go with this. You guys talked about it not being a business, but then you're also throwing around contracts and brand protection, and I see some organizations selling T-shirts and stuff. Like, how is this kind of handled if it's not organized as a business?
Twitch Arizona is also in a unique position of being an LLC, and that is because I am an attorney and I don't like money coming through my hands. But are we making money?
Right.
Everything goes back into it.
Yeah.
I'm not sitting on $1,000 going, yeah.
Okay.
These are nonprofits.
Yeah.
That's what they are, and so
Right.
they're not businesses in the sense of there aren't profits being paid out. But like if you're serious about sponsorship, if you're serious, you need to structure yourself in a way that you are a professional organization approaching another organization.
Yeah.
It's so much more helpful for me than one or two people coming to me and saying, hey, we're thinking about doing this meetup thing over here. No, like have a plan, have an organization, then come to me.
And you also,
Sorry.
I was just going to say, you also have to keep in mind that the companies that you're like looking for in sponsorships, they're looking to protect their own brand. Okay, so that's why we're saying contracts and things like that. That's because they want to make sure that their brand's being protected too by associating themselves with us. So it's not anything scary unless it's something that you just have to read through it.
Yeah.
I did remember my other question. You're now kind of seeing your reaction to calling it Twitch or not calling it Twitch. How do you guys interact with Twitch, and like what support do they provide you?
So the answer to that is talk to these people later. The answer is that Twitch is open. They are still considering what meetups are going to mean to them as a brand and as an organization, which is why we're not terribly forthcoming with this. But they can give you more info about how to approach Twitch and how to think about
TLDR is
that.
really, don't use the Twitch brand because they're a business and Amazon, legal, it's a business, you understand that.
So you have all gotten permission to use Twitch Chicago, Twitch Nashville?
That is the short of it, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, thank you guys.
Yep. Sorry to be cagey.
How do I follow up with that? That's I don't have much of a question, but I do got to say that, boy, I'll tell you what, I'm from Texas, and I appreciate everything y'all local people do out here. I had a good time. I love it. Oh, that's me. What's up? I met so many cool people, then my life has changed. I tell you what. But I will say though, like, and not no question, but it's kind of just a compliment. Like, thank you guys from local chapters for what you do. I mean, I met so many cool people, and they're all standing behind me, and they're about to slow clap in a second. But I mean, just letting you guys know that like everything you do is much appreciated to us, the community people, and just keep rocking. And that's all I got.
What meetup are you in?
Huh?
What meetup are you in?
Once the direct deposit gets into my account, I'll let you know. I'm just kidding. It's in Texas.
Texas.
I'm waiting for that check in the mail. But, yeah, thanks guys. Y'all rock. So I guess I done.
Thank you.
I don't know how to follow up with that, but I actually just want to say thank you as well. I came all the way from New York. It's my first PAX.
Awesome.
My buddy from Twitch, actually, Jordan, said, if you haven't been to PAX yet, you should definitely go. And I still see some kids there, but I came from the alcohol industry. So I run another company, but I am an indie dev. I have a gaming company, and I'm here as well. So if anybody's here from New York,
I'm originally from New York.
Sweet. Nice. So I'm looking for anybody who's actually, I don't know the meetups scene there for for Twitch,
Mm-hmm.
and I'd love to meet people, and here
Mhm.
solo, so
Yeah.
I love my friends.
There is Twitch, yeah, there's Twitch in New York.
There is.
Now you can get in contact with both of you.
Yeah, sweet. And I'm gonna be in San
Give me that
Francisco
contact
next
info
week.
too.
And
Awesome.
if there's an event that you're putting together, then I'd love to
Not
go.
next week, but you can hop on the Discord or reach out to at Kiraeyl Live TV on Twitch or Twitter rather, and
Okay.
maybe we can just go out and have a drink or something.
Awesome, man. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, great.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I want to ask, so I guess this year is going to be like my first year getting more into the gaming scene since I've been out for almost a decade. I'm primarily an EDM DJ working with other EDM DJs and producers, and I've ran a couple of labels. An issue that I've had when I was forming meetups or get-togethers is that to maintain motivations to get them to come to meetings that I've proposed, they always tell me, oh, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, excuses. No, I'm sure they're valid, but how do I get them motivated to collaborate, get together, and progress? Or what would you all do? How did you all build the momentum for your groups?
Be consistent. Even if you get 5 people out, have a meetup.
Yeah.
Because if people see, oh, dude, those 5 people had a blast, I'm going next time. Proposing a meetup without previous meetups or evidence of meetups or evidence of time is really hard. But be consistent. Even if you get 3 people out there, you just keep doing it. Really.
Yeah.
Keep people excited to see something that happens regularly.
I mean, think about what influences you to go to an event and utilize that as your basis.
Cool,
Yeah.
gotcha.
Well, I'll give you like the answer. Giveaways,
Oh,
free
come
shit, free
on.
beer. Like if you can connect those connections with a sponsor, like that's obviously gonna drive people. But I mean, ultimately, right now there's a huge opportunity in making streamer meetups because they're not everywhere.
Correct.
So if you are somewhere where there isn't one, you have a huge opportunity because there's obviously a desire for that. And so that'll really help you start. And then from there, that's when you start building additional value with like workshops or giveaways or, having game developers come out or whatever. And those kind of connections are actually really pretty easy to make. And like I said, both sides of both sides of the equation want it to happen. They just need someone to take charge and make it happen.
Gotcha. And with that being said, I might be a little late to the Stream Texas party. I'm going to NXT Takeover, but I'll probably, once I get out of there, if there's space available, I have an RSVP. I'll definitely love to talk with y'all. I've got a lot to offer. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
You may have already entered this, but I know some of you guys actually do stuff in wide, vast varieties of areas that cover a lot of land, like Stream Texas, sorry. How do you guys organize that? Because I used to be part of a group in Houston, and we would have people complain about having to drive an hour to go to downtown Houston.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah, there's people who would literally say, I live like 5 minutes away from a venue, I don't want to drive there.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That does happen. Well, I've had a lot of issues with like weather. That's most of us like a blizzard, which I can't
Well, it
control
rained
that.
in Arizona.
Yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
it was really bad. You have to. I guess my thing is always just people they're gonna say something, or if they can't make it, they can't make it. But I mean, there's some stuff that you just can't control.
Yeah, we've actually had our admins, because we've had so many, pick people up, show regularly.
That's true.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, carpooling is a good incentive.
You can drive, but you know what? I have a car.
Yeah, I think the other thing is that once people see the value in it, they're willing to, like for us in the Stream Texas group, we don't really get that. Like we have people that drive all the way from Dallas to San Antonio. I mean, that's because of the group that we have and the community that we've built, and Houston will go to Austin and so on and so forth. We're traveling because we want to be around each other, and that takes time to build that. But if even one person does it each meetup, then other people will start doing it. And they're like, hey, I'm going to go. Do you want me to pick you up? And that becomes an actual thing, and then the culture evolves and becomes what it is for us now.
For sure. All right, we've got to go into the lightning round because we basically have 2 minutes left.
Okay.
So.
Hi. So I had a question about creative streaming, because I'm primarily into creative streaming, and I'm wondering if you would maybe specialize certain meetups, like, okay, this one's gonna be more towards creative and this one's more towards gaming, or if you kind of do a mixed bag and have those events, or if you had any specialized advice for creative versus just the gaming.
Well, I know that there's a lot of creative streamers that go to the Nashville meetups, and we're all part of the same community. I think that it probably would be really good to have it together, because there's opportunities that each kind of streamer, like creative versus games, we can like help each other out.
Right.
It's,
I mean, we've had our creative streamers work with our GameWisp streamers to make graphics. We've had little mini painters, little tabletop games with stuff. So we mix them together. It's just so free.
Yeah.
That's what I figured.
All right. Okay. One word answers to the next two questions, and then we gotta get out of here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'll keep it brief. My name is Robert. I've had the opportunity to attend the Stream Texas, the Twitch Texas meetup for well over a year now, and I've watched and fun create his community. But so it's allowed me the opportunity to see a positive long-term growth in what it's becoming now as more of a more professional entity. And so I've had that opportunity to see that. My actual question is, what are some of your your more going forward ideas in terms of organic growth in your communities?
One word answers. Who's got it?
Awesome.
Hugs.
Love.
Tell us how it was
Good morning, first of all. I'm Rudy Boy 99 from Twitch. Hi, Meta.
Hi.
I'm really appreciative of being here. I've been to PAX South each year it's been here. I'm going to be a representative for Greater Gaming Society in San Antonio right now. Just going to say that there's not been much talk about students from the Art Institute or art academies. They get you free work for marketing. I mean, you're either a gamer in the Art Institute or you're an artist. And what would you guys say to implement students for free work and networking? Because students usually tend to go all over.
Not in the exploitative nature, but definitely providing, again, an in-kind is opportunity for them to be exposed to more and for us to have the ability to continue operating as a not-for-profit.
Thank you.
Yep. All right. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. We ran over our time by a little bit. Thank you all for being here.